Well, hello, my friends, and thank you so much for joining us. My name's Regular Rick, and today we have got something special for you. We are doing a roundtable all about water changes. Because when you're just getting into the aquarium hobby, especially shrimp keeping, they are confusing as heck. People from all different backgrounds, all different experiences. Some are saying, water changes killed my shrimp. Others are saying, oh, if I don't do water changes, all my shrimp die. And it's just crazy. It can be scary. It's like, oh my God, should I be dripping this water in? Can I be dumping it in? Is that going to kill my shrimp? The truth is that it depends on a lot of factors that we are going to cover today to make you a better and happier and less anxious shrimp keeper. We'll be doing that through a discussion between 4 shrimp keepers with very different approaches to water changes. Normal Rick, why don't you start us off here?
Hey, what's up? I'm Normal Rick. You know, I just do water changes if they're needed. So if my nitrates are going up 15, 20 ppm, then I'm looking to get that water down. I want to make sure that I'm actually having an impact on the water. And so I do a 30% water change. That probably happens about once a month. I just want to make sure that I keep my parameters in a good range.
Thank you, Normal Rick. That sounds like a very, very reasonable approach. You have to wonder why more people don't do that. But we're going to find out. Nerd Rick, why don't you tell us what you like to do?
What? I'm a nerd just because I care about the science? Come on, what is this? Fine, whatever. So I'm Nerd Rick, and for me, I'm thinking about the ecosystem, okay? I'm thinking about the parameters are important, but they don't tell a full story. So there are plenty of waste products, there are plenty of nutrient imbalances that occur and that we can't see from parameters, from our pH, GH, KH, ammonia nitrates, nitrates. Those are very important, arguably the most important, but they do not tell the full story. I think 10% water changes weekly are really good. If we need to do a big water change, we could do 30, 40% one time. That often works just fine, especially if you're using remineralized water like I always do. That was a little nerdy, wasn't it? My wife was right.
Oh, God damn it. Oh, whoops. Sorry there. Thank you for that, Nerd Rick. I missed a little bit of it, but I'm sure you said some very valuable information here. I hope you guys were listening at least. I wasn't. Anyway, we're gonna go ahead and get to Cool Rick now. Let's hear it, Cool Rick.
Sup guys, Cool Rick here. I don't know if you need to make things so complicated, okay? I don't know anything about the science, but like, I did a water change once and some shrimp died, okay? I lost like 3 or 4 shrimp. After that, never did a water change, and I've had no problems. My colony is doing great, everybody's happy. I just wanna let the ecosystem be, you know?
Man, what a cool dude with such a laid-back style of shrimp keeping. I love it. I love to see it. Lastly, we have Fit Rick. What do you have to say, Fit Rick?
What's up, guys? This is Fit Rick here. You want some weak-ass little shrimp? I don't think so. I certainly don't. That's why I treat my shrimp tanks like I treat my gym sessions, bro. You gotta be pushing it. You gotta be working those shrimp. So I do 50% water changes every single day. And none of that putting around shit, drip acclimating bullshit. You take the water, you dump it in. You know, it's not that hard. Keep it simple. Keep pushing. Okay? Whoa. That's definitely wrong. I think we can all agree on that, right? That. Yeah? You want to go, bro? My shrimp versus all of your shrimp. Let's calm down, okay? Let's calm down. Puny, weak-ass shrimp versus one of my macho shrimp. And then we'll see how it works. Let's see how we do. Huh?
I guess thank you, Fit Rick. That was something, I suppose. Nerd Rick, I'm surprised that I actually saw you nodding your head there. Do you think something is valid in what he said?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the way that he's communicating is particularly effective, to be honest. But there's something to be said for having some sort of selection pressure to weed out the more sensitive shrimp and create a hardier line that more people can have success with.
Huh, that's very interesting. Thank you, Nerd Rick. You actually managed to not bore me to death with that one, and I really appreciate it. So, you can see that we have a lot of different approaches here, and that's really interesting. To summarize here, we have normal Rick, who does water changes when parameters tell him to, often around 30% to have a really meaningful impact on them. He doesn't seem to be too worried about that 10 to 15% tiny water change limit. Next, we have Nerd Rick, who does 10% water changes every week because he doesn't feel that water parameters tell the whole truth about water quality and wants to be safe. He also does larger water changes as needed. Then there's Cool Rick, who doesn't do any water changes and has actually found that water changes kill his shrimp. Do you even measure your parameters, Cool Rick?
Yeah. Haven't done it in months, and my shrimp are thriving. With a capital T.
Interesting. So we've got so many different experiences and opinions here, and I want to create a cohesive narrative that brings all of these together into something that is understandable and useful for you to help eliminate confusion and fear. These approaches can all work and all make sense, except for Fit Rick's maybe, if we have an understanding of bioload, tank setup, and the type of water that we're putting into the tank. Let's start by understanding how bioload affects our water change needs. To do that, I want to redefine bioload a little bit. When I hear bioload used, it tends to refer to any animals, their waste, leftover food, and any dead plant matter. Basically anything that can produce ammonia in a tank. I want to add plants to that definition. We know there are animals with lower bioload like shrimp that don't produce very much waste and don't have a large impact on water parameters. On the other end, we have an animal like a goldfish, which is a pooping machine and adds a ton of waste to the system, and partly because it needs so much food. The same is true for plants if we think of bioload as changes to the water rather than just focusing on waste products. That being said, maybe we should have a different word for it, like bioactivity. Slow-growing plants like mosses have a small effect on water parameters. They don't affect pH very much with their CO2 intake or significantly impact mineral levels over time, so they have a low bioactivity. Fast-growing plants can have significant effects on tanks, so they have a higher bioactivity. Still nowhere near what a goldfish would be, but they may need more fertilizer, have a stronger effect on pH throughout the day, or intake more minerals, leading to significant changes in water composition over time. If we're not adding a bunch of fertilizer into the system, then these fast-growing plants don't necessarily increase the need for water changes, but they do affect how cautious we should be while doing them. The tank water may be quite different in composition from any new water going in, even if you're using purified, remineralized water, which means that slower water changes are often safer. As an example, let's say Cool Rick has a simple 20-gallon tank setup with some Java moss, 50 shrimp, and some bladder snails. He feeds a little bit of powdered food once a week. That setup has a very low bioload, so it doesn't need many water changes. In contrast, Nerd Rick's 20-gallon setup has a bunch of hornwort, duckweed, some very fast-growing plants, several hundred shrimp, and he feeds every day. There's a lot more going on in Nerd Rick's system, and so water changes are much more likely to be required and beneficial. Obviously, these tanks also aren't static. The shrimp population is going to change what we put into the tank. We may put in some new plants or remove some plants, and that's also going to affect how often water changes are needed. As our shrimp population grows, and especially if we choose to feed it and increase the rate of growth, then we are much more likely to want and need water changes. And that's why you may hear many breeders recommending something like 30% water changes a week, because it works for them and it's needed. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at tank setup. Quick little side note, if you want more fun and engaging shrimp content in the future, be sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. It helps a ton. Additionally, if you really want to dive into the why of shrimp keeping, understanding the science behind your tank so you can feel confident, that's what this book is for. Our new book covers everything you need to know and is now available in paperback. Thanks for watching. Back to the show. A thicker, older substrate with more nutrients and mold in it has a lot more biological activity. It has many more microorganisms and fungi and archaea that are all supporting the breakdown and recycling of nutrients through a system. In general, those substrates do a great job of filtering through the water, especially if you have good water flow and detritivores that are helping to aerate the substrate and keep it healthy. In that situation, water changes are much less important because you have a more active and developed ecosystem. On the other hand, if you have a bare bottom or thin substrate, then that's not doing anything. That means that a thin substrate system is more likely to need water changes more often than a thick substrate system with the same bioload, of course. Another factor is water. How consistent and safe is your source water? For hobbyists using purified water with a remineralizer, they get very consistent and safe source water, and therefore water changes are relatively low risk. In contrast, tap water can vary a lot throughout the year, depending on where you live. Some people have very consistent, safe, and healthy tap water that can be used all year round without any concern. Others have varying mineral nutrient ratios throughout the year, and they may even have some pollutants in it, meaning that water changes are much less safe with that tap water. That's part of why it can be so common for shrimp to die after a water change. You don't really see that with remineralized water, but you do see that a lot with people who are using tap water, and it's because it is not that safe. In the case where you have unsafe water and are noticing deaths after a water change, keeping a lower bioload and doing fewer water changes may often be the safest option for your shrimp. The plants and the substrate in your tank can do a lot to purify the water and improve it. They haven't done that yet for the new water entering into your tank, and so that older water is actually potentially better for your shrimp. Additionally, when we are worried about the health or the consistency of our source water, then it's often better to do slower water changes so that there is less of a parameter swing or a water quality swing, because again, these differences don't always show up on parameter tests. Parameters are great, but they are not the end-all be-all of water quality. They do not guarantee healthy water. Now, let's discuss how water change frequency affects water changes. Let's say you have a very old tank that you have not done water changes on in a year. It's filled with remineralized water, which is great. But is that tank water the same as newly remineralized purified water? Probably not. With all of the biological activity that goes into an ecosystem, even safe and consistent source water can still vary a ton from tank water given enough time. As a result, if you are doing water changes infrequently to any tank, then it is often a good idea to do them more slowly, because the water composition is almost certainly going to be different, and that can affect our shrimp. Lower frequency water changes require slower water changes. Well, they don't require it, but it's a good rule of thumb. As good aquarists, we should always be thinking about how different our tank water might be from our source water. Lastly, let's go over how the goals of our tank affect water changes. If we want a simple, low-maintenance tank, then we need to set the tank up properly, assuming that we maintain a low bioload, infrequent feeding, and a thick substrate. Then we have a very good chance of requiring very few water changes. There are many systems like this, especially for shrimp tanks, because they are such a low bioload normally. These systems may be able to go for years without water changes, only doing top-offs with purified water to replace the evaporation that happens. In contrast, if your goal is a breeding tank, if you want as many shrimp as possible like Fit Rick, then there is something to be said for his approach. Not 50% every day, but we do want to be pushing the bioload. We want to be feeding a lot. We want to have a thinner substrate that's easier to clean, and that all adds up to require more frequent water changes. If you do want to breed a lot of shrimp, then larger water changes, 30, maybe even 40% if you do notice nitrates going up, are a very good idea. That is, of course, assuming that you have safe water going into the tank. There is also something to be said for having a selection pressure for healthier shrimp. Some breeders of Neocaridina and even Caridina do water changes of 30% per week because they have such a large population, and the shrimp do just fine. Or the ones that aren't healthy don't survive, and then those don't get sold, and that's probably good for the hobby. To be clear, that's very situational and not something that most regular hobbyists need to be thinking about. To summarize, there is no single right approach to water changes. It depends on your tank setup, your bioload, your source water, how often you do water changes. Everything affects how beneficial a water change actually is to your system and how careful you need to be with it. What's important is being able to accurately evaluate your setup. Can we all agree on that?
Yeah, I don't agree with everything, but I respect it, bro. Fit Rick out. And stop calling me Nerd Rick. Only my wife gets to do that in the bedroom. Later, honey.
And thank you so much for joining us today for this discussion. If you found this valuable, then just imagine how much you can get from our 300-page book all about every aspect of shrimp keeping. It's designed to lay out every principle to help you understand everything that goes into a tank and help alleviate a lot of the confusion, anxiety, and fear that many new shrimp keepers feel. Digital and physical copies are both now available on our website. Thank you so much for watching, and happy shrimping.